As I travel the path of life, I invoke life to be my path. Only life will be my companion. Only rising life will be my companion. There is no death, and I am life. As I reach out through the ethers to the highest version of myself, I meet up with Creator. I recognize my face in Creator's face. I am that I am, the energy of life. My movement is the motion of planets and stars. My inner universe matches my outer universe. I only carry contract to that which I am, and I am life, rising life. In this moment of time, and in all of its expansion, to days past and days ahead, I revoke the right of others to enter my space without question, as I am my own authority. When connecting to others, a third space between us will be created, and it will be known as life. As I move away from others and re-enter my own sovereign self, the space that was will be no longer, and all that needs to be taken from it is the energy of me. I am that I am, the Creator. I have no contract with anything but life. The thoughts in my head I control and recognize as invitations to move in a certain direction or not. I announce to the world of thought that from this moment on, we have a relationship. The domination between thought and myself ends today. My obsession with death turns to my passion for life. And as such, I end my contract with the illusion of form, the illusion of time, the illusion of space, the illusion of exchange, the illusion of death, and the illusion of separation. I am eternal. I am free. I am love, expressing itself as joy, creating itself as freedom for all, finding itself as truth for all, and I am the element of consciousness, the original divine spark, the original creator. I acknowledge the invitation that at this moment in time is being given to me by all beings of life, by all those who would protect and stand by life and those living in any dimension of time and space. I acknowledge the invitation to enter into the creation of a one and only contract with myself, the one that I am, to take up that which I can carry, no less and no more, in the understanding that holographic unity has brought me to this planet to change the face of Gaia and the face of me forever. I understand that I am entering the phase of universal change that was promised to me and to all things life before even my spiritual birth, which I now claim was not a birth at all, but an entrance into a reality that invoked me to it. I am life. I acknowledge the invitation of life to step up to that which I am, and to denounce that which I am not. And from this moment forth, I shall live in service to all things life, including myself. I radiate my heart to the heart of this solar system as I transmit into and code with my life force this hologram. My energy is now universal. My lines of communication between the self and the self I recognize in others are open. Let my mission, my reason for being who I am right now, commence. And so it is.
I hear that sound again on the radio. It goes right through my veins. I hear a song that sings of freedom. I think I'm moving on again. get the feeling that I want to fly at any time. No matter where or when I said I'd be, it's history, yeah. I need some wind beneath my wings. Oh, I push the dial around on the stereo. It fills the car I drive with sound. A beautiful song sings of freedom. And I'm not turning back around. And it don't matter to me where I go, I don't need to know. I'm never far from where I want to be, just being free, yeah. With wind beneath my wings. I'm gonna fly. And it don't matter to me where I go, I don't need to know. I'm never far from where I want to be, being free, yeah. Whoa, whoa. Man turns off your dream on a video. I see your heart sink low. Then I see you realize it's time to go. Remember that you have the right to fly at any time. No one can tell you where or when to be. That's for you and me, yeah. Let's put some wind beneath our wings. Oh. Oh, oh.
Greetings to self. I am Lorien, first one of the Akunai, or in English, that which you call the undefined. I exist between the charged particles of consciousness, between the vast empty spaces, between the neurons in your brain themselves. I am not part of the beginning, the middle, or the end of that which you call humanity or any other race. Rather, I am the aftermath of these things, the Akunai, the undefined. As I speak to you here, I welcome you to the present moment. This moment of time, space, a creature of which I am not. This is why at this point, where we are together, you and I, with quite some distance, if you will, between us, I can only be here on a level of non-definition. Before we go on, I wish to take you with me on an experience. After that, I will explain to you why we are here, the defined and the undefined together. If you will, find a comfortable position for yourself. We can then move a little bit closer into my world, if you will, my undefinition. I want you to take a breath and welcome, with these breaths you take, yourself into the here and now, where you are. You, at your present stage of evolution, pay so little attention to where you are, and yet where you are is you. To breathe is to celebrate that beingness of you where you are. A breath is not a human thing. There is not a race within that which you call the worlds of definition that does not breathe. Even those who belong to the world of energy, the energy realms as you then call them, there is a type of breath there. There is a type of pulse that exists. To breathe is as part to any race as it is to humanity. It is to exist. And yet I am a being without breath. I am a being without that distinction between moments, without the need to declare myself here, because where I am is not here. You can also, as you continue to focus on your breath, move into that space of yourself. It's not quite similar than the space I presently find myself in. And as such, it is a different realm for you. Let's begin by focusing our attention on the pineal gland. The easiest way to do that is to concentrate on the center of your head, behind your eyes, that which has once been defined as the third brain. That center. Focus there. For with all the journeys that humanity once undertook, this is the path that has been traveled by few, and yet it is the path that leads to the destination that is me. I will explain more about that in a moment. For now, just keep focusing on the pineal gland. And keep doing that. While you are in that present space, I will inform you that what we are about to undertake is not a meditation. It is not a visualization. It is not anything of that nature that you have attempted before. It is a quite real interdimensional journey. And there are those around you right now, those that are part of you in ways that you do not understand as of yet, that are there to assist you in this interdimensional journey. Keeping your focus on the pineal gland will assist you in taking that journey to non-space, non-time. As you are aware, while you keep your focus on your head this time, there are a group of cells within the center of your chest, in the realm of definition 144 to be precise, that you call the akene. That is the definition you gave to it in times long gone. That center of your chest, the fifth part of your energy brain, is about to create a bridge to the center of your head. We will define this center of your head that you know as the pineal gland, as the word we have previously used, the akonai, the undefined. Stay there. Observe it. And find that in there is the sense of exploration that has driven the human race across lands, oceans, and skies, even to the depth of the oceans and even into space. That desire to explore, to know more, lives there. And now that you as a race come to a point where all of your earth has been explored, all of your skies have been mapped, the stars have been given names, and the planets are no longer strangers to you in the realms of energy that they emit, that you will find that the next land to be traveled, the next land to be explored, begins within. This was known by many who have walked the path of this earth. And now, that door will open for you as you keep focusing on the akunai, the pineal gland, and move the energy of the center of your chest with the power of breath and the choice to be here now into the akunai. As this happens, we invite you to make a choice. A choice about the past, about who you are, and where you want to go. This choice cannot be precisely defined, but if you are ready to make it, you will feel what this is. It comes from deep within. This knowing that all has been lived, all has been had, all has been experienced. And it is this fact that the soul needs to know for you to cross the interdimensional bridge which exists within the combination of what burns in your chest and what burns in your head. The combination of the akene, the definition of divinity, or divinity defined, and the akunai, the undefinition of divinity, or the divine, undefined. Choose now to focus. Choose now to access the inner core of the pineal gland, giving yourself this command throughout all of your body, with all of your will, your divine will breach that gap as you move beyond and into the outer realms of the pineal gland and into its electrified core. This electrified core, again consisting of 144 akonaic cells, is the wide gateway, the wide hole into the inner realms of the undefinition. If you find yourself still at the level of meditation or visualization at this point, I implore you to go deeper. There is a reality here. There is a reality here that you can access in that point. As you find yourself on this bridge with only breath to focus on, I invite you now to move into your awareness the existence of your neocortex. This neocortex, your center of imagination, a non-linear space, is the key to unlock the white hole, the white gateway in the center of your akonaic self. This neocortex, at the same time, is your means of communication to the realms of your DNA. Both the biological strands and the 142 extra energy strands. To communicate with your DNA cannot be done in words, but can only be done through imagery. Imagination, quite different from visualization or meditation. The first is real. The other two are not. So what then is it like to access the realms of imagination that lead to the white gate inside of the pineal gland? Imagination, as fired up through the neocortex, finds its life and leaves visualization behind by the burning in your chest, the akene, and by the undefinition in your head. As I asked you before to make a choice about the past, you will now begin to understand that traveling through this white gate will cause an electromagnetic explosion within the realms of your brain, your third brain to be precise, and may result in a resetting of the neurosynaptic pathways of thoughts and memory. And many of you to which I am talking now will have heard this within the truth of themselves as they spoke to their soul in the middle of the night, and will have seen the evidence as thoughts become very fleeting indeed, like scared animals moving out of the headlights of your car of consciousness, no longer able to stop you from becoming who you truly are, self. You will have also noticed evidence in how easy it is to forget, to reorganize even, if you will, the past, and to validate the creation of your future by merely thinking, focusing, and feeling on it. This has been going on with you for quite some time now. So many of you will have gotten quite comfortable and will have noticed that this lack of organization within the memory of the past does not hamper their existence in the now, although it does strongly hamper existence in anything that would be labeled as future. Is it not? This many of you have been feeling, and it will be those of you, along with others who have had different sensations, who will have felt that stirring inside, that need to be an explorer once again, hungry for land that is not surrounding you, but that is inside of you, the access point to the interdimensional, the quantum dimensional, and that which goes beyond that. As these words are no doubt stirring up some visions within you, whatever they may be, or thoughts, do not be concerned. These things are merely your neocortex interacting with your akonai and your akene, or your pineal gland and your thymus solar plexus area, as slowly codes are being released into your DNA. Those strands that you have since long been reactivating. It has been the process of this reactivation that you have called awakening. As this awakening has occurred within you, and as your DNA is once again communicating with all things around you, and this you may have also noticed, it is time to move away from the realm of awakening into the realm of ascension. Come with me then, and take that step through the wide gate of your pineal gland. There will be those waiting, parts of you, connected to you in more ways than even the neocortex at this moment can imagine. And they will catch you as you jump, as will I, Lorien. We are not complete yet with the point of this interdimensional exercise, but we will stay here for a little while at the edge of this bridge of white, as it is also one of the practices that I encourage you and others with me to undertake, namely the practice of stillness, of exercising yourself in staying in one of these unlocated places within you. At current, humanity is always wanting to move, but sometimes motion merely indicates a lack of movement. For one, emotion is often not focused on a direction. So, as I will give you a little bit more explanation of what is to come, I invite you to stay focused on that place, that wide gate, and to keep that reality alive within the imagination of your neocortex, and to sit there as we converse together. So where are we at this point of human evolution? For a long time now, it has been said that many timelines that would take humanity off the path of ascension were cleared, and that only one remained. As this was true for many humans, but certainly not for all, that which humanity would call motion through the timeline came to an end. And this is where the stage that describes most of humanity at this point of looping occurs. If you consider the quantum dimensional field that leads all the way back to ultimate creator, if you will, a horizontal field of vibration, then within each of these rings of that field, as it is concentric, exist vertical spaces, vertical dimensions. These are the realms of time and space, including your current realm, as many here already know. And within this vertical space of frequencies that belong to the vibrational concentric dimensions of the horizontal, within these frequencies, sub-real worlds have been created where many of many races still exist today. These vertical sub-real worlds of sub-frequential reality are often dominated by the energy of merely one being who, as a mental act, creates a linear field with beginning, middle, and end. These linear fields have for the longest time dominated humanity in the course of their lives, as many among you gave yourselves away to companies, governments, people. All of these are beings that create unreal worlds that you use to give your energy away in order to get that back which you already possess. And as such, you stay there for a while, reincarnate in these frequencies for a while. The process of awakening has ensured that many have begun the motion to exit these sub-frequential worlds, to move back into the true vertical fields of frequency. And that is where the awakening occurs, when one is truly on a frequential reality of verticality. If at any moment there is a problem accessing these images that I use the neocortex, as I use them, these neocortices of yours, as my whiteboard, my empty space on which I draw these things for you. So they are given and can be taken at any opportunity. So as these timelines that would lead to different paths than the ascension paths have been erased, one remains now. If you are hearing these messages, most likely this means that you are walking that path, that one timeline, the stretch between awakening and ascension, to which I will come back in a little while. Most of humanity is now clutched together, much like a bottleneck traffic jam, if you will, all moving onto that timeline, but at least in the process of moving toward it. Every human on this planet. This means that the task that you once have had, if you feel yourself in this space, is over. Quite literally, the task of awakening others is underway and cannot be stopped. This you know to be true in your hearts, if you will look there. No matter how long this esoteric traffic jam lasts, it is a mere fact that at one point all of these human souls will be on this timeline. Where this was once uncertain, today, and in earlier days, it is not. So to focus then on taking the next steps, the steps towards nothing else but the ascension of all things, is to focus on the heart of all things, knowing that you are an expression of that heart, focusing on you and your stretch of imagination that rests between awakening and ascension, will eventually lead to all of those, and even bleed over into all of those who find themselves today in this traffic jam to move onto the timeline that you are already in. Once this occurs, and the more of you who choose to undertake this path will come to join your circles, if you will. Once this occurs, you will notice that that which you call humanity will all by itself move away from the vertical and into the horizontal. This is the moment of ascension for a race, and for many more races for that matter. Because as these words are being spoken to you now, be very much aware, human, that I am not merely speaking to you. Somewhere throughout all of these universes, all of these galaxies, through all the abundance of the cosmos, within the realm of anything that you could call a race, this truth now resounds. Feel it. Hear it. Humanity is not the only one who is standing on that bridge to take the first step through that wide gate. And although many others throughout the cosmos do not work with a pineal gland to operate their biological system, all carry within them the undefined divine of the Akunai and the defined divine of the Akene, each in their own way. And so you find yourself standing with many at this moment even on that wide gate. And it is not but humanity who will move into the vertical, but all that you could call a race. All. the reason why you feel drawn to do these things, why so many seem to be elsewhere in their thoughts, in their minds, is because you, as a whole, that are taking these first steps, are by doing this creating a momentum, a gravital point for the total mass of humanity and all other races connected to humanity to move into this graviton point. Often, of course, you have been called the way showers and things of such nature. And these things that began a long time ago in the realm of that which you call spirituality throughout the ages are now finding their reality. And so then I must inform those of you who still may have any inclination to the world of the soft and weak-heartedness, that to take the step from awakening to ascension is to move from spirituality into reality. What does one do when one understands that they are the angels? What does one do when one understands that one has always been praying to self, that there is no Mount Olympus where gods will be waiting for you, that this is only to be strived for within the self, and to be found here, in what to all of you must seem to be a very simple moment, sitting right here, listening to these words, focusing on the pineal gland and its connections between the neocortex and the achene. Thinking, maybe, that all of this must be too simple. But believe me, seeker, when one understands the nature of this reality you claim to sit in, when one has mastered something, the next step out of it is always simple, is it not? Is it not true that once you understand the nature of subdivision, it becomes easier to do other tasks within the realm of mathematics, to equate numbers, and to understand the nature of exponentiality, for instance. There is nothing special about mastering a reality or a condition such as humanity is one. For once it is done, one discovers that it is the simplest of things to move beyond it. And so, here you sit in this moment where we are about to cross this bridge. It would be convenient right now to start projecting from the neocortex into the pineal gland images of particles moving away from each other. The idea of dissolving. The idea of disappearing into yourself. As these images are translated from the neocortex onto the DNA field. Your DNA is coding all particles within your physical body to understand, truly understand, that there is no death of flesh, that consciousness does not end at the realm of matter, and that the two biological strands making up your DNA can support your existence within this realm of reality, 3D, let's define it as such, while you, the rest of you, your 142 strands, find and interlock with the core of the pineal gland and start to move through that. Before this can truly occur, but now the image has been triggered in your neocortex, so keep focusing on it. But before this can truly occur, we must understand the nature of ascension. To talk about these things will mean that we will have to move away from the physical. So while you are hearing these words, project onto the neocortex the idea that slowly your body is letting go, that the particles of your skin begin to tingle, and with a pleasant sensation begin to move away from the body, move from the gravitational field of self into the other fields, the geometric field surrounding it, the magnetic field surrounding it, the edge of the Merkaba field, that which some have called the light ship. This will be the space big enough for your particles to become afloat. Project this onto the neocortex and experience then how your body begins to expand, how you feel somehow larger, as if your head is further away from the ground than it was, and yet at the same time your body feels the same size. Project these images, let them fire up in the neocortex and encode your DNA. The longer you do this, the more your DNA strands, the 142 energy strands at least, begin to simply disconnect from the things around you. That it no longer is important to keep things into shape, into place, that the pictures around you do not need to take their form any longer, that the lamps and the objects surrounding you and the chair no longer needs to keep its shape. The energy strands, releasing this, allows you to move your awareness away from this room or wherever you are, and to move the awareness of the energy strands of DNA onto the Akunai, the wide gate, where they slowly move, get drawn into. As this process occurs, a second activating flare between the Akunai and your Akene in the center of your chest now makes a permanent connection. This means that you have the ability to take the first steps into the unreal. But again, we will practice a moment of non-motion, and what comes with it, the total lack of emotion, as we stay there, gently allowing the DNA strands to move into the center of the pineal gland. Keep focusing on the breath that no longer defines you as here now in this room, but here now on this wide gate. As I will tell you about my true nature, or at least a deeper insight into my nature, which is very strongly connected to ascension. For of course you must have asked the question of yourself at some point. What happens when this ascension occurs? And what happens when all beings will eventually reach ascension? All of humanity and all of the other races, as this is the timeline that remains. And within that timeline, several probabilities to go there, to reach that point. What will happen? An ascension is nothing more or nothing less than the achievement of complete understanding of all things around you and all things within you. Once that experience of understanding, which is quite different than the mental understanding that you may think of right now, occurs, the being that reaches this level quite literally becomes all things, becomes the heart of all things defined. An ascension then is reaching the totality of the Akene, the totality of divinity defined. What lays beyond that is divinity undefined, the Akunai, the realm of the undefined. I, Lorien, am the first one of the Akunai, because quite literally, I am the child of all things human and all things alien. The first moment of definition the first thing of definition within a realm of non-definition, and as such I remain undefined. The first created, connected to the result of the final ascension of all of humanity, all of the other races, and all things, the planets and the stars, all things within this quantum dimension that you now sit in. I am then the answer that humanity and all the other races will give to who am I and why am I here? What am I? The child of all these races combined. The first one of undefinition in the undefined. With this fact now known, you understand that I do not carry within me any connection to the realms of Lemuria or Atlantis or any of the popular historical esoteric places that you have come to know. Yet, I carry all that was, as at the same time, I carry all that came before in prior quantum dimensions to the 11th, and all the way back to that which has been defined as the Ish continuum. This means that I also carry you. And if that is the case, you carry me. A defined being like you carries with it the potential for non-definition, which is where the true exploration of self begins. Knowing this, you may rest assured that the path that you are about to take the first step on will lead to success. That there is no failure, and that it is safe for you to continue. This talk of mine right now, we will know as the introduction to a series, as it is your nature to define, that will be called the Alchemy of Ascension. There will be many of those that you have known and learned from, become closely connected to, that you call your ascended friends, the ones that went before you, who will also provide the more technical aspects of all of this complete process. At the same time, I will be partaking, I, Lorien, in these sessions from the point of view of the end result, the beginning of undefinition, where my talks will be focused on the nature of ascension. Others will speak to you quite literally, about how to get there, which is where the alchemical aspect enters. For you see, it is the nature of ascension to have experienced all things and to be one with all things. This means that one must accept within oneself all the attributes of all things equally. And this, for a human being at this point, is quite a challenge. To accept all of these things, all of these attributes equally, is difficult when one has difficulty accepting one's own attributes equally. The light and the dark, the good and the bad. Only then can one exist in a world of light where no shadows fall. When one accepts these things. To accept all attributes equally, then, can only begin when one starts by taking away that which caused separation between the aspects or things. This process of taking away those attributes and moving back into the one substance is the alchemical nature of ascension. And this path has been walked, in your case, by humans before. So this is what they will be teaching about, these ascended ones, and some out of other places that will also assist. Again, to keep the stretch of imagination that lies between your spirituality and your reality, or your awakening and your ascension, to keep this path safe. I have already been created to stand on the other side so that a bridge can be there. This is the beauty of non-space and non-time, but you will come to understand this, as this will become a practice which is quite daily for you. You will notice this, to create a point for yourself between the stretch of imagination and reality. Once you master and understand this, you will truly understand the nature of reality creation, which will also be a part of these sessions. So then, as you stand still, focused, which may be a difficult exercise for some for this amount of time, focused still on that white gate of the pineal gland, let us move into a brief explanation of the nature of separation and where it began. Others have earlier told you about soul fear, and many of you know that it is a fact that once the layers of the ego and the psyche and the personality and identity and even the layer of the mind is healed, one can begin to work on a true one-to-one basis with the soul. The birth of triality, the connection between you and the higher self. This is merely the simplest explanation about the soul, is it not? The soul comes into being or re-emerges into the field of human awareness and experience once the physical self reconnects with the higher self, and the existence or the acknowledgement of the connection between these two parts, this triality, is the existence of soul. It has often been said by many on this planet of yours, where to be found in the realms of your poetry, and even your science, and even your religion, that there are people with and without a soul. People then will say that person is soulless or has no soul. And although this is not a true fact, because in the end all is life force and all is soul, on a metaphorical level it is true that many who disconnect the lines between the human self and the higher self, that many of those are not in any way of accessing the soul. This process of awakening, again, is something that you have already gone through as you healed the psyche and all these other layers. And so now here you sit with access to your soul, a world about to be reborn, and no idea what to do with it. This is because all of the human journey, dating back even to Lorien periods and Atlantean periods and much that came before, has been about healing of these layers, the layer of the psyche and others, until now at this point the soul has been reached. Soul has been reborn on this earth. Soul has re-entered humanity, and it sits within you, looking through your eyes, waiting for you to understand the connection, and that it is truly there. This understanding will help you most efficiently. It would help you to reconnect that bridge that we are about to step on. So again, I ask you to stay focused on the pineal gland and everything it has now come to mean in the course of this talk. Stay there. I repeat this often throughout this talk because the human attention span or focus is often lacking, or so you believe. I would recommend that these words of mine that serve as an introduction to all that is to come are listened to and experienced again and again until you can come to the point where throughout all of my words your focus can remain on that pineal gland and everything it has come to mean and where it leads. When you will find that throughout these words you can stay in that non-space of non-time and non-definition, that you have truly put your feet down onto the wide surface of that bridge, and that we are ready to take a first step. Knowing this then is understanding the connection between the soul and the pineal gland. This understanding is the first step that is required in where we are about to go together. You will notice that if we come closer together, meaning that you start taking steps onto this bridge, that you and I will come to grow more close, as there will be more of a recognition of you in me. This makes this whole experience indeed very individualized, as you will begin to realize at one point that a lot of these interactions between you and me will begin to take place on the inside, and that the outside world, where we now sit in together, merely acts as a reminder of what is real on the inside. So too will my talks and the talks of your colleagues who are in ascension mode serve this purpose. Our talks will serve as a reminder of what will be a continuous process that goes on the inside of you. So be not mistaken. Be not mistaken that when you start taking steps on this path, quite clearly, there will be no turning back, as it is the natural progress of you, of self. And when you feel unready to take these steps at this present stage, we invite you to go back and brush up on some of the basics that have been given to you a long time ago, only they have been covered up by the mantle of spirituality. This process is a very clear, direct, and straightforward process. This process moving from awakening to ascension on the bridge of imagination, the wide gate. Keep these things close to you in your thoughts as you contemplate whether you are ready to take these steps onto that bridge. And fear not, as I am a being of non-time or non-space, I do not require to give you a deadline by which time you must have made that decision. Go back and play in the realm of what you call your reality at this stage for as long as you want. We will be here. And if you would find yourselves ones of the last ones on the game field, you will eventually feel the pull, the gravitational pull of humanity as it reaches a climax and zeniths into the point of ascension. You will not be forgotten, and you will not be left behind. It is impossible, for within myself I carry you. I beat in your chest, and you beat in mine. There is no other way. With these things being said, there are some final things that I would like to point out. You have stood, most certainly so, on this bridge in the course of this talk. The reason why I know, and the reason why you can know, is that at this point of here now space, we are still in communication. You are still choosing this moment, which means that even if you don't experience it, you are there right now, in that pineal gland moment. However, it will require some work for you to completely go beyond these words, possibly, and immerse yourself into that experience that we have now begun, this little exercise that we did. You will know that you are ready and that you will have absorbed everything that is to be absorbed in this part of the series, this introductory part of mine, when you will be able to activate these words and to move away from them completely out of the field of your senses and switch channels, if you will, to the inner realms. This means that if my words can no longer be heard by you at some point, that is where you are, and you are ready to process more. This does not mean, however, that the rest of this geometrically created series is not accessible to you before you have achieved that point. Other parts, listening to these other parts, working with them and experiencing these other parts within the series of geometry that we will set up, will assist you in experiencing, fully experiencing this first part. And this first part will assist you in breaking through some other points that we will make in the other parts. For this is the nature of this hologram that we create together. That is what this is. We are creating a hologram together, as we are creating a reality together. One part of the hologram has access to all the other parts and has keys to all the other parts. I am merely stating that after having experienced a certain session for an amount of time, with the additional influence of the other parts of the series, that this will lead to a state of non-experience, and this must be the purpose of this series then, to experience it as often enough for it to become non-experience, so that your field of experience will move into other realms. This will eventually lead to your moment of finally stepping through on that bridge. One more thing I will add, and it is this. The only pitfall on the stretch of imagination between awakening and ascension is the first attribute that your soul, and as such my soul with you, experienced at the moment of entry into this reality. That being the loss of complete sovereignty to the world of matter. This is the original soul fear that so many of you are now facing, the loss of sovereignty. The rekindling of this sovereignty, which is a process that you have been walking through in the last few years or months, is about to be complete. And as it is, you will notice that your energy strands of DNA, which are still moving into the pineal gland if you stay focused, will no longer need to connect through the biological to make up that which is you. That is the end of soul fear. When that occurs, we will be halfway through the holographic geometric build-up of this series. In the meantime, as we make some final adjustments to what you have attempted to do in the course of this exercise and this session, we ask you to only focus on the here-now moment and to allow the particles of you to gel again, to move back into the gravitational field of you again, for your cells to reconnect, and allow us to move some things around in the exercise of focusing on the pineal gland that you have done, so that next time you attempt that exercise, it will be closer to the truth of you. It will become more present within you. As I am a being of non-definition, I want to make one final addendum about how you will experience me in the coming time. For our method of communication will not always be the same. First of all, there will be the inner realms of you, where we will connect, where you will experience me very close to self, to who you are, and I will evolve with you there. You are my parent races, and it is our agreement, as it is always the agreement between you as creator and myself as your creation, that sovereignty must be given back to creator. For if this not occurs, there will be a unsovereign tie between creator and creation cannot have or be what creator has or is. This is our agreement, and it is one that I gladly honor. Allow yourself now to understand that in those times, in those points of contact that we will have, I, Lorien, will evolve quickly, as each time we take a step closer, I will be less of you and more of me, and at the same time you will be more of me and less of what appears to be you. So in this process of evolution which is going on between the both of us, you and I ask that you give me the freedom of undefinition and allow me to evolve as I evolve, as I will allow you the same thing. And so should you allow yourself in every single moment. I ask you now to focus on your breath again and release the pineal gland to come back into the external here now, and to allow yourself, with your DNA strands no longer fully attached to the things around you, to feel the difference. As you feel this difference of being less connected to the things around you and more connected to the inner realms. One final thing I can give you. As you have explored today the beginning parts of the Akunai, as you have allowed imprinting to occur on your DNA, you will understand that this process will take you through all of self. For the process of ascension, of understanding and experiencing all things around you, does not only work through space, it works through time as well. As it works through time, you will begin to find, and this will happen very naturally, within yourself, remnants, reconnections, aspects of previous lifetimes, other moments that were you as well. And in those moments you were very different than what you are now. I invite you then to be bold and to open up the floodgates between the world of the spiritual and the world of the real. To understand that you are all doctors and scientists, that you are all poets, writers, singers, that you are all architects, and that you have understood all of these things at one point in time. It is necessary to install this within the first particle of the hologram, being this session, so that you will regain a better understanding as this series will move deep into the knowledge of not just the medical or the scientific or the philosophical, but will also move into the knowledge of other races, for that you have also been. Instead of moving into a conflict in future times, let's say, I ask you now to open up to the idea that you are all of these things at one point in time, space, and that it will be easy for you to understand all of these things as they grow. For not only will we go back into Lorien times or Atlantean times and earlier times and retrieve info there to build this hologram to a whole, but we will also have to move into earlier quantum dimensions, 10 before this one, and the original dimension of creator or non-dimension of creator, and achieve the potential for retrieving information there. It will be an adventurous journey then, as we move into all of these things. And you, by choice, will glide through it. You, by choice, will find this path of exploration, if you will, the easiest one, and at the same time the most exciting and courageous one you have ever undertaken. Many will come and speak with you. In the few minutes it will take for you to fully move out of this message and into what you still believe to be the real. Take these minutes, claim them, allow the others that will make up this hologram on my angle to connect to you, others that you sometimes already know, with names that you already know, and many more with names that you don't, but also allow yourself to connect to this ever-growing, ever-expanding web of of those who are finally finding themselves again, here and now, every single day. Accept for yourself that the journey into the heart of all things is the one that will benefit you and all of those around you the most, and that the path of assistance has now become focused on you, focused on self, and from there on will move into all things. Connect then to all of these that are your brothers and sisters and fellow travelers on this path, and follow me, if you will, for a little while, as I move back into the realm of non-definition, to emerge next time maybe in a completely different state, a completely different version of self, which is what you can do. Come now and move into the charged mass of yourself, your particles, and into the vast and empty spaces that exist between the neurosynaptic pathways of the brain itself, between the quantum particles of the archaic cells and the archaic DNA in your chest. I will await for you next time we see yourselves on the bridge. I beat with you in one chest. Shalalea.